Hey everybody, Mr. Rugowitz here. So as we start our new unit, our new chapter, we want to hit on a couple ideas that we need to have a good grasp of before we even begin. So our goal for today, we will review reducing fractions and create equivalent fractions. So let's go ahead and make sure we have that down and the date for today. Okay, the good news is that we've reduced fractions for years. So there are a couple different strategies we can do to make fractions as small as possible. So if I gave you an easy fraction, like 4/8, it's a fraction, but is it reduced as small as it can be? So one thing we can do is we can look for factors. We just spent time working on greatest common factor. So you could divide this by 2/2, because both of them are even numbers, and that would give us 2/4. I can then divide that by 2/2, and that's going to do 1/2. So it's the same thing as 1/2. You could also look for that greater factor, 2/4, and divide it by 4/4. If we're strong on those factors, that's also going to be 1/2. So you can always look for common factors and the greatest common factor to reduce them. One other tool that you now have in your toolbox is you could take something like 32/48. So definitely a larger fraction. But when you think about reducing fractions, it's going to work the exact same way as finding greatest common factor when you use the decomposing box. So I could also reduce that by 32/48. If I have a decomposing box, I could say, great, 2 works. That takes me down to 16/24. Okay, looking good. I can divide it by 2 again, takes me down to 8/12. I can go a little farther. 2 again is going to take me down to 4/6. Or I could do 2 again, and that's going to take me down to 2/3. So 32/48 will reduce down to 2/3. Now you could have used all 2's like we did on here. I see other numbers that would have worked. You could have used 8. You could have used 4. You could have even used 16 if you were thinking big. So let's try another one. Let's say that we have 24/40. So since this is review, I'm going to give you an opportunity to solve it on your own. Use the decomposing box, use common factors. Let's see how small you can make 24/40. Okay, you can use whatever method you want. If you use the decomposing box, great. I'm going to go ahead and go common factors on this. So I know for 24 and 40, I have to start with 8. So I'm going to divide both of them by 8. 24 divided by 8 takes me down to 3. 40 divided by 8 takes me down to 5. I always want to check and see, can I go any farther? And I can't. So 3/5 is that reduced fraction. Let's do one more with simplifying fractions. If I did 20/32, I'm going to give you a head start. See if you can reduce it using either common factors or the decomposing box. Okay, no matter what method you chose, I look at this and I think, I'm going to use common factors. So 20 and 32, 4 works really well. You could have used 2. So that's going to take it down to 20 divided by 4 is 5. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. So that one is simplified down to 5/8. Okay. The next thing that we want to hit on, a building block skill for this next unit, is to create equivalent fractions. So equivalent fractions means that they may look a little bit different, but they have the exact same value. Think about it this way. If I have a paper dollar, 10 dimes, 4 quarters, or 100 pennies, which one of those is more money? Well, they're all the exact same amount of money, so they have the same value. What they are is they're in a different form. So when you think about equivalent fractions, it could be bigger, it could be smaller. So let's say that I give you this fraction to start with. So if I have 4/7, okay, good fraction, and I know something is equivalent, and I know that the numerator of my new fraction is 20. So if the numerator is 20, I want to figure out what the denominator is. I use my basic skills and I say, all right, what would I multiply 4 by to get 20? That would be multiplied by 5. So whatever I do to the numerator, I have to be fair to the denominator. I'm going to multiply that by 5. 7 multiplied by 5, 35. So these two are equivalent fractions. Let's do one more together and then we'll do some practice. So if I gave you 6/9, so 6/9, this time I'm going to give you the denominator, but I'm going to make it smaller. So if my new denominator is 3, the new numerator, well, how am I going to get from 9 to 3? I'm going to divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Same thing with the numerator. Divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So these are equivalent. When you did simplifying up top, really, you created all of these as equivalent fractions also. So 24/40 reduces to 3/5, but they're also equivalent fractions. 20/32 reduced to 5/8, equivalent fractions. 4/8, 2/4, and 1/2 are all equivalent fractions. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of chances to solve it on your own. So if I gave you 5/7, and I need an equivalent fraction, and I'll give you a numerator this time, so let's give you 45/, I don't know. Your job is to try to figure out what my denominator needs to be. Okay, let's see how you did. So if I'm at 5/45 and they are equivalent, I say 5 multiplied by 9 is 45. I have to be fair to my denominator, so I'm going to multiply that by 9 as well. 7 multiplied by 9, 63. So 45/63 is equivalent to 5/7. One more. If I have 24/36, and I'm going to create an equivalent fraction, and let's say that I have 8/, I have no idea. Let's see what you come up with. Okay. 24 down to 8 means that we divided by 3. So to find my denominator, if it's equivalent, I'm going to also divide this by 3. Be fair. 36 divided by 3, 12. So 24/36 equals the same thing as 8/12. Good job, everybody. Thanks. We'll be prepared for moving on into our chapter.